Hi, we're going to write a program where the user will enter two numbers and we'll calculate the sum, product, and difference. You'll notice I set up my GUI. I'm using two edit boxes. I'm using two labels. The name of my first edit box is EDT num1. Second one is EDT num2. I'm using a button called BTN calculate, and I'm using three panels and P&L sum, product, and difference. You can pause the video and set up your own GUI. And now we're going to go and write code behind the button calculate. So what is going to happen in this program is the user will enter two numbers, and when we click on the button it should be able to display the sum, product, and difference. So double click on BTN calculate. You will notice I've declared some variables to save time. I'm going to use two variables to store the numbers. I num1, I num2, type integer. I num1, I for integer, just to keep a record that it will be storing an integer value. I've also have three variables to store the sum, product, and difference, and all I have type integer. So we're ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call for my variable I, and if you press IN, control space, it'll pick up the variables you have, and I'm going to use I num1 is assigned. Now we're going to get this information from the edit box, so I've called my edit boxes EDT, prefix EDT, so it's easy to pick up. Control space EDT num1 dot text. And if we look at the code now, we are taking something from a GUI, which is an edit box, and we are storing it in an integer. So we're going to have a problem, incompatible types. So to solve this problem, I am going to go in front of EDT num1 dot text, and I'm going to convert the text to an int. And the method that will do that is string, str for string, and string to int. It's a function that converts our string into an integer, and we're good. And control D will align it up. Now we're going to do the same thing for num2. I num2 is assigned, and now I can use my string to int since I understand the conversion. String to int, and in the brackets EDT. Now we're going to use EDT num2 dot text. So I'm going to basically receive both the numbers that the user will enter if we go to a GUI in our edit boxes, and I'm storing it in variables called I num1, I num2. Next, we want to find the sum. Very simple. Sum is assigned. You'll notice that I've declared sum, which is of type integer. And to add them, all we have to say is I num1 plus I num2. And that will find the sum. What we're going to do next, you'll notice I made a spelling error on I num1. So quickly, let's go and change that. I num1. Next thing we're going to do is output, display that on the panel. So to display on the panel, I'm going to call for my panel, PNL, control space. I have three panels, so I'm going to use the one called sum. Panel sum, which is assigned. So before I say sign, dot caption, and we're going to assign that to the variable sum. Now the problem lies here is sum is of type integer, and we want to store it on a panel, so we need to convert it to a string. And to do that, I'm going to put a bracket around sum, and in front of sum I'm going to say int control space into string, which will convert an integer to a string, and we're good to go. We're going to run this. Oh, beautiful, no errors. And if I type in two numbers, 3 and 4, and I click on button calculate, I get a sum of 7. It'll be good to have a message so the user understands what the 7 is. So returning to my program, I'm going to go in front of that and put a message and say, alright, very simple message, sum equals, leave a space, and then I'm going to concatenate, join that to the value of the variable sum. So we got a message, sum equal to, and we are joining that to the actual sum stored in a variable called sum. If we run it now, excellent, it's still working, and you notice that it's waiting for my two numbers, 3 and say 6. And if I click on button calculate, sum equals to 9. Next, we're going to find the product and display in the product, and then the difference and display on the difference panel. Returning to my program, to find the product, it's very simple. PR, control space. It's good to use control space, then you don't make any spelling errors. You're choosing the variable from the list. Product is assigned, and to do that, I num1 times I num2, and that'll find the product. And then we can go and find or use the panel. We want to use the panel, PNL, control panel product dot caption, which we're choosing, and we can say is assigned, and we want a message first. So let's put our message product, which is equal to, and then we're going to join it to the value, but we're going to convert it to a string. If we look at the one above, before we display sum, we have to convert sum to a string so we can display it. So I'm going to say int control space into string, and in brackets we're going to say product, and that will display the product. At the same time, we're going to go now and find the difference. So I'm going to say difference control space is assigned, and all we got to say is in control space, pick up in num1 minus I control space. That will find a difference for me, and then I'm going to display that. What I'm going to do now is a very simple copy and paste, alright, if you want to, but that could be quite dangerous if you don't understand the coding. And all you've got to say is, alright, panel sum, it's no more panel sum, it's control space. I'm going to output that in difference, and now my message will not be sum, it will be difference. I don't recommend you copying and pasting at this stage. Practice is good to type, and in there we want to have the difference. And because I copied and pasted, I need to check if this program satisfies what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to type in 100, and then I'm going to type in 4. And if I say button calculate, sum is 104, product 100 times 4 is 400, 100 minus 4 is 96. Thank you.